These are the lush green hills that lead to the unmatched scenic splendor of the Swiss Alps, serving today as the backdrop for a sport that yearns for major acceptance in the United States. A sport that in this part of the world engulfs countless thousands in nationalistic fervor. In many European countries, cycling is more than a sport. It's an obsession. And so it is that the greatest cyclists in the world, men and women, professional and amateur, have come here to Altenrhein in the northeast corner of Switzerland near the Austrian border to compete in the World Road Racing Championships. The battle for supremacy is a grueling one, an endurance test spanning several hours and seemingly endless miles up and down the twisting route laid out over the slopes of the Rorschach Mountains. It is a test of individual courage and determination that only a seasoned road racer can fully appreciate. Through the years, it has been riders from Italy and Belgium who have dominated the World Championships. But that domination is being challenged by a strong contingent of vastly improved American riders. Hello, I'm Gerould, and we're awaiting the start of the supreme event in cycle racing, the grueling World Road Racing Championship for professionals. And there's a tremendous sense of anticipation, particularly in the American camp, as for the first time in the near 60-year history of this competition, there are two U.S. riders, Jonathan Boyer and Greg LeMond, who are accorded possible chances of victory. When you consider the fact that just a few years ago, the main objective of American riders was merely to finish World Championship competition, you can see the great strides we've taken in the last few years. The course is a scenic one, but it's a gray, cold, overcast day overlooking Lake Constance. The riders are bundled at the start, ready to attack a 9-mile circuit, but they're going to go around 18 times, a total in excess of 167 miles. Joining our Sports World coverage today, the renowned European cycling expert Phil Liggett, who's at the far end of this massive tribune.
Well, Gary, this really is the most coveted of all the professional world titles, the road race. Isn't the rider down there on the start line who doesn't want to take this world title back home with him? Because within 2 seasons, he could be a millionaire. Now, the weather could pose a problem. It's a long day in the saddle, and it's cold. If it remains cold or if it rains, then that will really get through to the riders, and believe me, it can affect the race wholeheartedly. Now, America can be expected to do well, and there are many riders down there, especially the Italians, Belgians and French, who need this title really badly. I think we're going to see a very, very good World Championship that could, at the end of the day, give us a world champion from the United States.
And of course, Phil, if that were to happen, it would be a first for the United States, the best the country has ever done in the World Championships. Greg LeMond's silver medal finish, a second-place effort 1 year ago. The starter's gun sends 118 riders away from the start line now. It should be a very long day on this demanding course.
Indeed, Gary, that's for sure. And I think what we'll find on this opening lap is the riders will begin to feel the way around. They're all going to be a little bit frightened of the surface. It's very slippery, and the roads up in the hills are extremely narrow. The defending world champion, Giuseppe Cironi of Italy, is a man not on form and not expected to defend his title. And I think the challenges here for the crown will probably come from people like Phil Anderson of Australia.
Our friends from Swiss television providing us with beautiful pictures throughout the day, both from the helicopter in the air and from motorcycles on the ground. Earlier, we had an opportunity to visit with the American contender, Jonathan Boyer, about the intricacies and demands of this course. Our tour guide visually, the famous Austrian cyclist Luki Schmidleitner.
The start is on the right next to the sea, pretty flat. It's going to start off everybody. It's a very wide road, so everybody will be pretty much grouped together. And then we take a right turn and we go up the first hill, which normally will go up very fast because it's not that long and it's not really that steep. But it's hard enough that people can go really hard and, you know, make some decision there. People will be dropping off the back and some people will probably be trying to attack. Then after that, you have a level spot.
And a good point, Jonathan, for the leaders to stretch out, reaching speeds of 45 to 50 miles per hour.
And then you go down a slight hill and you take a left turn, and that's where the second hill starts. It's a little bit difficult at the start of it, and then it sort of eaves off and goes through the woods. The woods part will probably be very fast.
And very dangerous, we might add, Jonathan. Drop-offs in places up to 100 feet. A fall there would be just simply disastrous. At the top, one of the most scenic points on the course overlooking beautiful Lake Constance. And then onto the treacherous descent, where you come downhill, literally flying. It speeds up to 60 miles per hour. Significant risk factor compounded by the rain of today. Once you've successfully negotiated that treacherous descent, it's onto a near 2-mile flat. What do we look for here, Phil?
Well, any advantage gained in the mountains, Gary, this is where the rider must press it home.
And Jonathan, what do you think it'll be like as you near the end of 167 miles?
It will be, as most all European World Championships, it's going to be a race where the riders are eliminated off the back. And at the end, I feel there will be a little small group, not that many, and then perhaps one rider alone.
And Jonathan, we know who you think that rider will be. The Stars and Stripes, indeed, very much in evidence here near the head of the pack, but it's Greg LeMond who is among the leaders, sharing a drink here with a fellow rider from Norway. Sports World will be back with more of the World Cycling Championships here in Switzerland. Cycling is passionately enjoyed by those folks here in Altenrhein in Switzerland, but they also display a passion for their beer drinking. Indeed, a carnival atmosphere prevails in the makeshift pubs near the start-finish area.
Gary, a world title couldn't be won in Europe without saying Prost a few times.
Out on the course, however, there is an atmosphere of much more intensity. And for the first time today, we're watching a group of 13 riders break away from the main field now. They're attacking one of the tough hilly sections of this 9.2-mile loop.
And LeMond in the center of the pack now with no hat on, with the Stars and Stripes, doing very well on this climb of the mountain. The only real challenger to LeMond here is Kim Andersen of Denmark, third from the rear.
This group breaking away has opened up the first significant lead that we have seen. The major portion, the major field of the riders well back. Eric Heiden, no, he is not in the field. The Olympic speed skater, now a renowned cyclist, but the community of Heiden close by to this course in the Warschach Mountains.
It'll be interesting to see, Gary, who's out in front on this main chasing group now, because, of course, in that lead pack, LeMond and Kim Andersen of Denmark, and the two quite dangerous men.
We're also keeping an eye out for Jonathan Boyer. He is not with that breakaway group of 13, as now the second pack comes toward us.
Well, leading this is Phil Anderson of Australia, a man who declared at the start of the race today that he wanted to win the title for the first time. Also fourth in line there is Sean Kelly of Ireland. There is Jonathan Boyer now, sixth in line with the white hat on.
Your assessment of how they look at this point, Phil?
Well, this long line of riders, Gary, indicates the pressure's on at the front, and it's being caused, of course, by the young American, Greg LeMond, and here we are with this front group now. LeMond there, still riding well in fourth place, showing, I think, his liking for the climbs. He's going to feel very pleased with his performance right now, because he's making the favourites come to him.
A year ago in the World Championships, there was controversy among the American team. Boyer, within a quarter mile of the finish, had an apparent victory within his grasp, but then LeMond led an attack that swept past Boyer, the result being LeMond second, Boyer 10th. Bitter feelings that followed.
Last year I was overjoyed at getting second in the World Championships, and for 1 year, and that's why I hope to do good tomorrow, because for 1 year I've heard just tremendous criticism about what happened last year. And my own opinion is that if Boyer would have won, he would have won outright if he was the strongest. If I would have been Italian, nobody would have said anything. And he knew from the start that we were not friends, that we have been enemies for 2 years before that, and that the race was one for each other. I mean, one for one.
I'm very proud of being American, and I really feel that as Americans we should stay together, and the better riders we have, the better off we'll be. And the fact that two of us among the 260 million people fight is absolutely absurd, and I don't think there's any place for it in the sport, and I really feel that it shouldn't happen. I really feel that, you know, we've got a very good country to respect and to, you know, represent, and I think we should represent it in the best way possible. I don't think our own small ego should come before our country.
I'm trying to forget about it and race my own races and race for my results, because that's the main thing. That's the most important thing for me.
So clearly, Greg LeMond rides for himself, and at the moment he rides very well here among the leaders at this stage of the World Road Racing Championship in Switzerland. Jonathan Boyer, meanwhile, more team-oriented, but in reality, only Boyer and LeMond of the 6 men who wear the Stars and Stripes can be considered true contenders.
You know, Gary, I think it has to be said LeMond is being a little bit cheeky here because he's attempting to leave behind all the world's great cyclists, many of them who've become millionaires over the last 2 or 3 years. LeMond is an impetuous rider. He likes to get on with the job in hand, and after all, he does pull in around $100,000 a year, so that puts him in quite a big-time bracket in European cycling.
So Greg LeMond continues his bid to become the first American rider ever to win a gold medal at the World Road Racing Championships. Earlier this week, we had an opportunity to watch the women amateurs on the same course. 4 tours, 37 total miles, 18 nations represented among the 75 riders. And remember now, they are amateurs. Greg LeMond, Jonathan Boyer, all professionals. And among the American contingent of women, 3 outstanding medal prospects: Connie Carpenter, Rebecca Twigg, and Cindy Oliveri.
So this leading group has established itself now as the strongest girls on the road. And this is Rebecca Twigg of the United States, the 20-year-old who turned down the chance of defending her world title in track cycling last week to come down to Altenrhein to try and take the road title for the first time. In this very strong front group, this is Connie Carpenter, the girl who did take the world track title away from Rebecca Twigg in her absence. And Carpenter trying to do the unique double. The defending world champion, Mandy Jones of Great Britain, goes through. And the blonde girl from Sweden, Marianne Berglund, perhaps the greatest danger in this breakaway to United States supremacy.
And through the early stages of this race, the American contingent, that trio of Connie Carpenter, Rebecca Twigg, and Cindy Oliveri, doggedly chasing Maria Canyons of Italy, a 34-year-old former cross-country skier who did yeoman's duty pulling the group up the mountains on the second of 4 laps.
And Cindy Oliveri at the back of the group there, on the right, the tall girl from Pleasant Hill in California, 26 years of age, and I think possibly the surprise of this group.
But as the leaders came flashing down the course onto the flatlands near the start-finish line, completing their second tour, the lead group had suddenly dwindled, for Connie Carpenter was nowhere to be seen. The group that had been 7 was now 6. Included in the 6, the 2 Americans, Twigg and Oliveri. We were later to learn that Connie Carpenter had fallen on the descent. She was uninjured. She was able to get back on her bike, but she now trailed the lead group by 1.5 minutes.
And truly one of the most amazing performances of this title fight is coming from Maria Canyons of Italy. The 34-years-old mother, who was 2 years ago the winner of the cross-country ski competition in her country, is now learning to be a world champion cyclist as well.
Oliveri, for 3/4 of the race, tenaciously hung with the leaders. But as they came to the flatlands for the final time, an hour later, nearly 37 miles into the event, it was Rebecca Twigg, the lone American among the 4 who broke away.
So it looks now as though this World Championship is going to be decided in a sprint finish. Amanda Jones of Great Britain, the defending champion, looks over his shoulder, sees Marianne Berglund of Sweden come alongside. And there goes an attack from Rebecca Twigg on the back. This is the second time the race has had a serious attack from Twigg. The other one came just 2 laps ago in the hills.
But like the unsuccessful attempt to break away in the hills, this too was foiled, as suddenly, moments later, the leaders had caught Rebecca Twigg. And what started out as a kick to the finish suddenly slowed and became very much a tactical race.
So Twigg opens up the dash for the line, takes 2 riders across the right, leaves Amanda Jones on the left of the picture. Twigg now winding up the sprint, towing clear. It looks as though Marianne Berglund is the only girl now. This is a battle between the United States and Sweden. Twigg looks over to her left, and as she's done that, the attackers come from the other side. Berglund goes for home, half a length in it, and she is the Women's World Road Race Champion.
Rebecca, I know it has to be a great disappointment, but there has to be a tremendous sense of satisfaction. A silver medal in the World Championships has to be a terrific accomplishment as well.
Yeah, I'm happy about getting silver.
Did you think you had the race won when you came down to those last couple of meters?
Yeah, I kind of did.
You looked over one shoulder and she came in the other direction, or how did those last few meters go?
I think that must have been it, yeah, because I didn't see her. And a few minutes later, she went by, and so she must have been on the other side.
You tried to make the break on the final climb right to the summit.
Right.
But they wouldn't let you get away.
I know, Maria seemed to be intent on chasing me down.
Well, again, congratulations, a
Thank
silver
you.
medal. You've done very, very well.
Second place for Rebecca Twigg. Cindy Oliveri finishes 6th. Connie Carpenter was 7th. Shortly, we'll rejoin Greg LeMond's continued quest for a gold medal in the World Road Racing Championships here in Switzerland, where frequently 3 wheels are just as good as 2. But first, let's go back earlier in the week. The Men's Amateur Road Racing Championship. Another gold medal on the line. And again, the Stars and Stripes of the United States a factor. We're watching Alex Graywall, one of the finest climbers the U.S. amateur team has. He's been very much in contention in this grueling 111-mile test for 157 amateur starters.
And it should be said, too, that the Americans have come here after a long journey from the Pan American Games and not too much to be expected of them.
For nearly 100 miles of the 111-mile event, there were high hopes that the Americans might come up with their first medal in the history of the amateur road racing competition. Graywall stayed toward the front until the 12th and final tour when the hills took their toll. He eventually finished 14th. Uwe Raab of East Germany was the winner. Let's rejoin now the men's professional race. Well over 100 miles have been completed, but still more than 50 miles remain. 5 laps of this 9.2-mile circuit yet to be completed. And Phil, there's been a dramatic change at the front of the huge pack.
Indeed there has, Gary. The chasing by the favourites has ended the breakaway of Greg LeMond in that small group. And now another group is formed. And again, Kim Andersen of Denmark is in this breakaway. Also in this group, more significantly so, is Phil Anderson, the Australian. And he's doing most of the pacemaking here. There he is in white, slipping down the back. And the local favourite, Serge de Meer of Switzerland. And that is the rider 180,000 people are rooting for.
And as we watch Anderson and de Meer continue to work at the head of this group, we should point out that the American contenders, LeMond and Boyer, are within 1 minute of the leaders, still within striking distance, Phil.
Oh, very much so, Gary. In fact, although Phil Anderson is a definite contender here for the world title, there are too many favourites missing out at the front, and I see that gap closing in the next few laps.
As a former veteran road racer, you've been here. What's the feeling after you've been in that saddle for well over 4 hours, well over 100 miles? What are they experiencing at this point?
Well, the first thing you experience is a burning sensation all over your body. And of course, because the route is hilly, your back is aching and your arms are aching as much as your legs. And the weather's changed too. It was very cold at 9 o'clock this morning, but now it's extremely warm. So many riders will have been throwing out paper that they will have stuffed up the front of their jerseys. It's important the bikes hold up too, and the riders will rely heavily on those 14 gears.
The Australian rider, Phil Anderson, now coming into the picture, seems determined to lead this field. He's known for his ability to intimidate a race field.
I think a lot of riders, I don't know whether it's envy or intimidation or what it is, they see myself and I don't know. It's not something that I practice, but I'm told all the time that a lot of riders are intimidated by me.
But intimidation won't work this day for Phil Anderson as he's now fallen off the pace, and you see Greg LeMond making his first serious attack with just 2 laps remaining in this long test. And now Jonathan Boyer at the left of the screen without the hat that we saw him wearing earlier, also within striking distance.
And this enormous crowd now smelling that the final attacks are beginning in this World Championship, and they're being made by the United States. Greg LeMond in the front, a lesser-known Italian rider Paganesi in second place. The pack being led here by Robert Miller of Great Britain, and in second place, Sean Kelly of Ireland in that green jersey.
Remember 1 year ago, it was Boyer who led the charge to the final stages of the race, only to have LeMond and others sweep by. And there's Bob LeMond, Greg's father, a fine racer himself, a man who deserves a tremendous amount of credit for the development of this budding young superstar. He anxiously assesses the field as they motor by.
Well, this has got to be now the beginning of the end of this World Championship. Faustino Ruperez of Spain, a man who won the Tour of Spain just 2 years ago, now piling on the pressure at the front. And there's Greg LeMond going through, and this is Moreno Argentin of Italy.
We had an opportunity to talk with Bob Lamont to ask him his assessment about his son. What makes Greg so competitive?
He likes the idea of being a star. He wants to be a big name in the sport, and he's just never quit working for that. So he's very serious about the sport, and very serious about events like today, where he's been planning and thinking and getting ready for this race for at least 2 months. So it's hard to say what makes him a competitor. He just got on the bike at 14 and wanted to win races.
That determination very much in evidence right now as young Greg LeMond, age 22, in pursuit of a World Road Racing Championship, a feat no other American has ever accomplished. Stay with us. Sports World will be back with more from Switzerland right after this. Back in Altenrhein, Switzerland, I'm Gary Gerould, along with British cycling expert Phil Liggett, and we're watching a truly remarkable performance by a 22-year-old American cyclist. His name is Greg LeMond. He seeks to become the first American athlete ever to win a gold medal in World Road Racing Championship competition. He's been pedaling furiously now for better than 6.5 hours. The final tour of this demanding layout, where the altitude changes by more than 600 feet. He'll be ascending the mountains for the final time. Among those observing and reporting on LeMond's effort, 3-time world champion, 5-time Tour de France winner, the famed Eddie Merckx.
LeMond's attack has succeeded now. Only Faustino Ruperez of Spain is hanging on to his back wheel, and Ruperez looks in trouble. LeMond accelerates again, so everything everybody has said about this young man from California is coming true. What a rider he's turning out to be, and he's just 22 years of age. LeMond sits down, and there's the gap now. Ruperez, the winner of the Tour of Spain, has lost the wheel of the young American, and that gap is going to begin to grow now. LeMond checks the gap, changes up gear, begins the descent down towards the finishing line, and still he's full of fight. And the gap now, something like 12 seconds. The crowd is waiting on the top of the climb for the final time, and they're not seeing a rider from Italy, they're seeing a rider from the United States. A truly historic moment on the climb, and LeMond is loving every minute of it. Last agonizing climb, but how good it must be for the American. He knows now that just the descent lies before him, and the first ever world title for the United States. Down on the finish line is Gary.
Bob, half lap to go, 15-second lead over Ruperez, about a minute on the pack. Your thoughts?
Scared, very nervous, but barring any accidents, he'll probably be able to stay away and win. He's got really reserve in the end, and he can just push himself beyond. So I think barring any accidents or any mechanical problem, he'll probably stay away.
Are you confident of his sprinting ability when he gets down to the flat?
Well, if it stays the way it is now, he'll be alone, so we won't have to worry about it. But as far as sprinting against the Spaniard, yes, I think Greg is stronger.
The thoughts in LeMond's mind now must surely be mixed, one of happiness and one of fear, because he knows the riders behind are chasing and they're only a minute down. LeMond anxiously glances over his shoulder, makes sure that nobody is sneaking up on the line of the crowd. Little advice here for LeMond from the team car that's following, and they're probably telling him exactly where Faustino Ruperez has got to. And look at this rider go, and he must be moving now at speeds of around 45 miles an hour. There's the chasing group, and the green jersey of Ireland looks as though it's Stephen Roach at the front. Number 48 is Ruperez, so he's been picked up by these three riders. And the rider in blue, Claude Coquillon of Belgium. And locked there on the front, another young rider in the World Championships for the first time, Adrie van der Poel from the Netherlands.
With less than 2 miles to go, Phil, is this now strictly a battle that we're seeing for second place?
I think we must now say that, Gary, but you can rest assured that all the stops are out. These riders now are totally committed. Nobody is saving any strength at all. I
suppose there's always the frightening thought of a mechanical failure, a puncture.
Well, that must be the uppermost fear now in the mind of Greg LeMond, the fear of a puncture. It would take 15 seconds to change a wheel, and those chasers would be on him.
And Phil, here at the finish line, without question, Greg LeMond's father, Bob, very, very nervous.
Like a real champion.
Very stamina, I think. Do you know stamina? It's the stamina of Jim Ryan.
Probably at the wall out. I'm not sure.
Well, Jim Ryan was a great miler, and Greg LeMond is now becoming a great cyclist. He's not only about to take the first American gold medal in the World Professional Championship, he's pedaling towards becoming a millionaire. And this young rider, who for a year has spent 5 hours a day in the saddle training to be a world champion, now sees the goal in sight, and he's doing it alone. No dispute this year, no doubt that Greg LeMond is proving himself the best of the two Americans, and Jonathan Bowyer is way down the field. So LeMond now, to the enormous applause of this very appreciative crowd, glances over his shoulder for the last time. He knows now there's nobody going to stop him. And Bob LeMond is looking extremely relaxed now as his son comes home with his fist in the air. And this is the salute, I think, that every cyclist in the world would love to make. So you can well imagine the delight on Greg LeMond's face as he comes home as the first American champion of the world. So with absolute chaos in the finishing area now, somewhere in the centre of this is Greg LeMond, and what a day it's been for him. But don't forget that the race is still out on the course, and this is the fight for second place, being led here by Claudia Kikilian of Belgium, trailed by Ruperez of Spain, and in third place in that green jersey of Ireland is Stephen Roach, and the man at the back is Adrie van der Poel of the Netherlands. These four riders now dicing for the advantage, and it looks like Van der Poel is going to take up the running. He goes first on the right, and he's caught them off guard. There's no reaction as Van der Poel goes clear of the field for the silver medal. Kikilian, Stephen Roach, Ruperez take up the challenge, but it's too late as Van der Poel goes clear to take the silver medal. In third place, Stephen Roach of Ireland just makes the line. Ruperez fourth, Kikilian fifth. And so, father and son meet. The United States have won the gold medal, and it really is an emotional occasion down there on the finishing line. And somewhere down in the centre of that pack too is Gary Gerould, but here the remnants of the field come home. And Jean-Luc Van der Broek of Belgium leading Eric Mackler of Switzerland. So the Swiss have promoted this championship. They've not been left out of it as Mackler comes home there in sixth place.
So what started in rain becomes an incredible story, ending in brilliant sunshine in Switzerland. American cycling history has been made. Greg LeMond, a jubilant winner in a World Racing Championship. We'll be back to meet the winner in just a moment. And so back in Altenrhein, Switzerland, finally, a semblance of order has been restored among the throngs. It's amazing. The Europeans seem to be absolutely as excited as we are. Let's try to get a work. Greg?
I know this is what you've worked so hard for. The feeling right now is you get ready to go up and get that World Championship gold medal.
Yes, it's a dream come true. I didn't think it was possible. I felt good, and it's what can I say? It's a dream come true. And in cycling, it's one of the biggest things to accomplish in your career. Some people never do.
You made the move with 2 laps to go. Obviously, it was the proper time.
I think so, because if you wait until the last lap, too many people watch you, so it was good. No, I don't need it.
We talked about the business of becoming a superstar. Do you think maybe you've taken a giant step today?
Yeah, in Europe, yeah. In America, I don't know.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
World champion.
We at Sports World are indeed fortunate to have the opportunities to report on many prestigious events from all over the world. Today, we believe we've witnessed a truly magnificent and special achievement. Congratulations to Greg LeMond, world champion. For Phil Liggett, I'm Gary Gerould, bidding you farewell from Switzerland.